In episode 9, we'll start out at West Ham, where Nate is enjoying life. His team is at the top of the table, and his relationship with Jade is going great as well. She actually stops by one day to give him lunch. But while he's thanking her, Rupert stops by. Nate introduces Jade to Rupert, Rupert to Jade. And if you didn't know Rupert, you would think he was friendly enough. But because we do know Rupert, he's a dick. Very dismissive, and you can tell he doesn't think much of a hostess. When it comes time for match day, as Nate is walking out to the pitch, Rupert says, "Hey, after the game, why don't me and you go out for a drink later?" And Nate says, "Yeah, that'd be great. Should I bring Jade?" But Rupert says, "No, just a boys' night." Although after the game, he finds out it's anything but a boys' night, because he goes to the club that Rupert invited him to, and Rupert has two girls waiting. Nate is so turned off by the fact that Rupert is basically asking him to cheat on his girlfriend that he makes up a poor excuse on why he has to leave, one that Rupert knows is bullshit, and he walks out, actually going straight to Jade's apartment because she's the only one that he wants to be with. Now, over with Nate's former club, Richmond, things are also going great. The whole total football thing has really caught on, and Roy has to admit, "Yeah, I thought this was stupid, but it seems to be working out pretty well." The team is flourishing. They've won 7 in a row, and things are really looking up for Ted's club. At least that's what it seems. There is some inner turmoil. It's really only between two players, Isaac and Colin. And that's because ever since Isaac found out about Colin's secret, he's been giving him the cold shoulder. Colin's tried to talk to Isaac about it, offering to go get a drink and discuss, but Isaac doesn't want anything to do with him. He's completely ignoring him. Ted doesn't know about any of this, though. As far as he's concerned, the club is happy. After a practice one day, he heads up to Rebecca's office where he finds Keely crying. That's because Jack has completely ghosted her. Jack saying she wanted to take a break certainly seems like it means break up. So Rebecca was being a good friend and consoling her in the moment. The reason why Ted actually showed up, though, wasn't to make Keely feel better, although he does feel bad. It was to let Rebecca know that he won't be able to do the press conference that day. He's got Zoom meetings with Henry's teachers, and he doesn't want to miss it. Keely actually suggests that Roy do it. Even though he hates that kind of thing, he's really good at it. So later on, Keely and Rebecca head down to the locker room to find Roy, and they tell him, "You're going to be doing the press conference." And Roy is not happy finding out that he will be the one to address the media. But he grits his teeth, and he tells both Keely and Rebecca that he'll reluctantly do it. Although, when it comes time to actually address the media, Roy's nowhere to be found. It's actually Beard getting into a very spirited debate with the media over the greatest guitarist of all time. Leslie doesn't know what's going on, so he goes and gets Rebecca, and Rebecca is just as confused as Leslie because she told Roy you're doing it. She didn't expect Beard to be arguing about Jimmy Page. But she quickly stops that press conference, and just to keep things organized, she tells the media, "Hey, if you have any questions for me." But their only question is the greatest guitarist of all time, and she stupidly answers Mark Tremonti from Creed. When she gets out of there, she's pissed off, though. She specifically told Roy that he was to address the media, and then he blew it off, and everyone chalks it up to just, "Oh, that's Roy being Roy." Yeah, well, she's done with that. She has to go into boss mode. She storms into the training facility and yells at Roy, "Get in my office right now." When Roy does show up, she yells at him for skipping the press conference, and he apologizes, but does so in a manner that doesn't really seem like he's sorry. He just says, "I didn't know it was a big deal to you." And she rips into him. She basically gives him the same speech that he gave her last year when she was dating that average Joe type fella. She criticizes him for giving up when things are tough or they're not fun. And this whole woe is me act that he does, it's old. The problem is, in her mind, that Roy has convinced himself he doesn't deserve to be happy, and he needs to change that philosophy quickly. Now, one person who is trying to be happy is Colin. He wants to fix this thing with Isaac. Isaac's one of his best friends on the team, and now he's not talking to him all because he found out that he's gay. He goes to Trent for some advice, and Trent's advice is just give him time. Like, he probably shouldn't need it, but some people do. You've known you were gay your entire life. He just found out. But if you give him time, I'm sure he'll come around. The day of the match, though, Isaac is still giving Colin the cold shoulder. So much so that when they put their hands in to do the 1, 2, 3 Richmond, Colin puts his on top of Isaac's, and Isaac moves it. It seems like Colin's mood is carrying on over into the game as well. He seems very distracted and just out of sorts. But Colin also seems a little bit out of sorts. He makes an errant pass that leads to a goal, and Isaac screams at him. It's very uncharacteristic, but it leaves Richmond down 1-0 at the half. As they're leaving, some fan has some choice words for the team, but he crosses the line when he says the F word. And I'm not talking about fug. No, I'm talking about the one that is really, really crossing the line. When Isaac hears it, he actually storms into the stands and confronts the fan. Doing so is against the rules. It earns Isaac a red card, and red cards mean that you're kicked out of the game. So Richmond will now have to play the rest of the game a man down. But nobody knows exactly what's going on with Isaac. This is a completely out of character. So much so that Roy Kent has become the voice of reason, which no one expected. When they finally get everybody back in the locker room, it's pretty quiet. And Ted has to go, oh, okay, so no one's going to say something? Well, I'll say it. Isaac, what the hell's going on with you? Isaac, though, doesn't want to say it. He doesn't want to expose Colin. He doesn't want to give him his secret. He doesn't even want to say the word. But Sam overheard it, and he tells the team what the guy had said. While Ted sympathizes with Isaac because it's a completely out-of-line insult that the fan had said, he also criticizes Isaac because he's put the team in a tough situation. Now they're one man down. The team kind of dismisses it, telling him, look, man, we've all heard that before. But there's one member of the team that is staying quiet, and that's Colin. He's got a lot of nervous energy right now. But Isaac, constantly hearing from his teammates that it's just something he needs to get over, it's nothing they haven't heard before, pisses him off even more. He finally freaks out at everybody and says, we shouldn't have to deal with this. What if one of us was gay? And then he walks out. Roy goes after him to make him feel a little bit better about the situation, but the rest of the team, they're left wondering if Isaac is gay. And they feel like he probably is. That outburst just seemed like it was out of left field. The reaction to the word seemed really personal. So the entire team starts talking about how they're going to support Isaac in this moment, because that's exactly what he needs. But Colin cannot sit back and let the entire team think that his friend is gay, knowing full well that he isn't. So Colin bravely stands up in front of the entire team and tells them, guys, Isaac's not gay. I am. To Colin's relief, everybody is super, super supportive. Most of them say things like, Colin, we don't care. But Ted stops and says, no, Colin, that's not true. We do care. He then goes on to tell a story about when he was a kid and he lived in Green Bay. Surrounded by Packers fans, he had a friend who was a Broncos fan. And he told the Broncos fan, I don't care that you're a Broncos fan. But that Broncos fan had to watch the Broncos in the Super Bowl alone. And Ted realized that he was a bad friend. Yeah, he said he didn't care, but he should have been there with his buddy. Instead, he, quote, didn't care. And his buddy was left alone to eat dip. Yeah, it's a questionable analogy, but it also makes a lot of sense. And it makes Colin feel a lot better when Ted says, we do care, and we're with you, 100%. With the team rallying around Colin, they head out to the pitch motivated, and they come back. They win 2-1 for their 8th straight, and Colin is the man of the match. He was incredible in this one. After the game, though, nobody wants to talk about the come-from-behind win. They want to talk about Isaac's outburst. Normally, Ted would handle the podium, but no, this time it's Roy. He heard what Rebecca said, and he's going to heed her advice. So he steps up, reluctantly. And he does the press conference in a very Roy Kent fashion. The first question is about Isaac and whether the organization condones it. And, of course, Roy says no. And then the question is, well, then why did he do it? Roy doesn't answer that question, but what he does do is tell a story from when he was a youngster at Sunderland. There was an older player, and him and his wife were pregnant for the first time. Roy made a snide remark about how there was a % chance that he was the father, and this older player went nuts. He beat the crap out of Roy. It was very uncharacteristic, and it actually got the guy kicked off the club. And because of this outburst, no other team would touch him. Roy realized later on that he was a dick for the comment, and he saw the guy in the pub about a year later. He apologized for the comment, and the guy told him that the reason why he really snapped was because him and his wife had lost the baby a month earlier. He didn't tell anybody. Nobody knew. He just kept it bottled up. So the point of this is nobody knows what other people are going through. Yeah, fans buy a ticket. They think they can say whatever they want, but at the end of the day, we're just people. And footballers have the same problems as others. So Roy doesn't know why Isaac did what he did. Of course, that's a lie. He does. But he also tells the media, it's none of my business. Roy absolutely shines in this presser. At the end of the night, everybody goes home, including Colin, but he gets a knock at the door. And it's Isaac. Up until this point, Colin thought that Isaac was mad at him because he's gay. But it's actually the farthest thing from the case. Isaac was mad at Colin because Colin didn't tell him. That's what really upset Isaac. Colin didn't feel comfortable telling one of his best friends the truth, that he was hiding this. And Colin explains, I was 99% sure that you'd be okay with it, but that 1%, it gave me too much doubt. He then invites Isaac in, and the two discuss what it's like being a gay professional athlete. Thank you so much for checking out this recap. Please consider subscribing to the channel and subscribing to my Patreon. Hit thumbs up if you liked it. Smash that thumbs down button if you thought it sucked. If you left a comment, I don't get back to you. I usually don't check the comments unless they're like a super comment. Also, if you don't see the next video up on the end screen, not to worry, it'll be up in a day or two.